In the world of gaming, the players mainly have two separate but equally desirable experiences. One is through computational devices, taking input through buttons, joysticks, and mice, and is displayed on a screen. The other is on paper and cardboard, with dice, plastic pieces, and pencils on a table. We represent both. I'm Not Much 23.
And I'm ChoasAssassin.
And this is Gamer Experience.
And today we have a friend of mine joining us today. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's up? I am Shaguto. How you guys doing?
Today's episode is going to be about glitches and exploits and how they affect gaming. And most of this is going to be probably more heavily towards video gaming, but
You've got some tabletop role-playing exploits, Chaos.
it just because rules is written makes an exploit doesn't mean anything. That's following the rules.
That's why it's an exploit, not a cheat.
Rules are made to be broken. Like, come on.
Or follow to the point that it breaks the rules.
But, like, we always like to ask our guests, Shaguto, what kind of experience do you have with gaming? And
oh boy. Pretty much gaming has been a essential pastime, stress relief, and just casual activity for me for a couple of years now. So, a buddy of mine helped me get my first PlayStation. I paid him back for that, and it's just gone on from there. Played all sorts of different games, had some rage moments and some, not rage moments. Had some funny moments, and yeah, just had a good experience with gaming.
Okay.
How long would you say you've been playing video games in general?
Well, now that I think about it, it hasn't been that long. A couple years? 4, 5-ish? No. Wait. 3 or 4.
Really? So you've only been gaming for 4 years max?
Give or take a year or two. So
That's actually not a whole lot of experience.
But the amount of different games I played,
fair.
However,
That is
it's a different story.
So your history with gaming is very short but very intense.
Yes, very much so.
He's actually gotten me to try 4, 5 different games now.
Yep. And just before recording this, I was helping him through a game I actually got him download.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So, exploits and glitches in games.
Oh, jeez. Where do you want me to start? Do you want me to start with ones I've done, ones that I've known about?
But before we go into stories, let's talk about what the difference between a glitch and an exploit. Glitches, I would think, are things that just happen that have no negatives, but they also have no positives. They're just like when you're looking at things and all of a sudden the person just walks through you and like their model gets all sorts of distorted. It has no actual more so negative would be more so a glitch more so than a positive.
In my experience, a glitch would be bit neutral in that aspect because you got stuff like texture glitches, skybox glitches.
Well, the issue with that is for most exploits are more so beneficial and ways to benefit you more so than a negative.
Fair. And
so I would think,
in my personal experience, exploits are ones that are physically sought after more so rather than glitches that are accidentally found and people telling their friends like, hey, yo, check this glitch out I just found. It's absolutely insane. Or, hey, come check out this texture glitch. It's funny AF and stuff like that.
What are your thoughts? Not much.
A glitch is something that goes wrong in programming. It can be positive, or it can be negative, or it can be neutral, because I know screen wrap glitches, especially in speed running like 16-bit games. But
Oh yeah, fair.
But
at that point, wouldn't they, because they help the players, wouldn't they be more of an exploit?
It's exploiting you can exploit a glitch, but it's not an exploit because it's not part of the intentional programming.
That is very true. Yes.
Exploits are taking advantage of certain game mechanics.
Yes.
In fact, one of the games I like to play, Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, or rather Open Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, I can give an example of a glitch and an exploit.
All right, let's hear them.
A glitch is that the steep slope, a roller coaster train actually gains more speed than it should, especially more than a vertical section of track. I actually learned this from Marcel Voss. I actually went into Coaster Builder and actually built a coaster with a bunch of steep slopes to vertical slopes without neither boosters nor any chainless sections. I was actually able to get the coaster above the level of the starting station, which should not be possible.
Huh.
So that's
Interesting.
I mean, I have similar stories with games like Elden Ring and stuff like Call of Duty. The most notable one is with Elden Ring, is I would call it both a glitch and an exploit, because you're exploiting something, but you're using a glitch to exploit something. It's one of the underground sections of the map, which is the Modwin Palace area. There used to be little ledges you can jump on with your horse to get essentially, quote unquote, out of the map, and you have to make your way over to a certain point, sprint jump off with your horse, and swing your weapon all the way down. And if you know you did it right when you glitched through the bottom of the floor and just kept falling and falling, and you wouldn't die. You would get a metric ton of the game's in-game currency known as runes and souls, because Elden Ring, Elden Rune, yada 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 yada. But you would essentially glitch through and just keep falling and keep swinging your weapon until you got the amount of runes that it would give you, because it's something to do with the quote unquote programmed staged enemies under the map and stuff like that. And then you would, as soon as you got the runes, you'd open up your map and fast travel to the nearest side of grace, wash, rinse, repeat.
But that's not intentionally programmed.
No, it is not.
So that's
However,
a glitch.
There is another one that is intentionally programmed, essentially in the same spot. And you can find videos of this all over YouTube. It's commonly referred to as the bird farm. Once you make your way to Modwin Palace, you just travel across it until you reach the upper cliffs of the Modwin Palace, and you'll find a side grace there that is literally like 2 feet from the ledge. What the bird farm is there is a rotten bird down there in a lake of blood. And what you do is you rest at the side of grace, and you would take a bow, walk over to the ledge, shoot the bird with a bow, and the bird will run off the edge. That is one of the better early game farms, because you can get to that farm essentially by getting to the second area of the game.
So that would be an exploit.
That would be an exploit, yes. And there's another one, but that's a more late game exploit. So
I think most of the ones I know about are in Skyrim and Fallout 4. For instance, you need to use a controller for this one, for Fallout 4. As long as you have the materials, regardless of whether or not you have the requirements, because in Fallout 4 you need like gun nut of a certain level or blacksmith to level up your weapons. You can do the same thing with your armor as well. But if you hold over on the D-pad and immediately shift down, so what you need to do to set it up is, let's say you want, for instance, on one of the hunting rifles, in order to get a suppressor, you need gun nut 3. But the perk above it requires gun nut 2. So if you have gun nut 2, you can be on the one that you're capable of building, hold over on the D-pad, which would normally select it, and if you do it in the same frame, drop it down while hitting accept, it'll pop up to ask are you sure you want to build this? If you've done it correctly, it'll have that prompt, but it'll show that you're building the one underneath it, the suppressor. So you can build it without meeting the prereqs for it.
That is a glitch.
Yeah.
It's an exploit as well.
Well, it's an exploitable glitch, but it's not intentionally programmed behavior, so it's a glitch. But you never let me give my example of an exploit in the same game.
Okay, what's your exploit then?
You can build an actually pretty decent, very cheap, very efficient roller coaster with a corkscrew roller coaster with just 2 stations, and a half of a corkscrew. You set the launch to the lowest speed, it launches, goes up the corkscrew, comes back down. And normally, there are certain things that you need to do with your roller coaster, or else you'll get heavily penalized with stats. But one thing with the corkscrew and some other coaster types is a lot of those are ignored if you have at least one inversion. That is intentionally programmed behavior, and therefore it is an exploit rather than a glitch.
Another one I know of, it's happened to me, but it's, and of course, the, most balanced game out there, if you ask certain YouTubers, Skyrim. No glitches or exploits whatsoever. So, during everybody's favorite quest of, a new hand has touched the beacon, at either point where the person, I forget what her name is, when doing the mission, at any point when they basically lift you all the way up into the sky, it can turn off the fall damage protection.
Ooh.
When they drop you. And because 9 times out of 10, it will autosave right when they lift you up, you are stuck in a loop. As you are unable to open up your menu during that, because it's technically a cutscene, but because you're stuck in a cutscene and you don't have fall protection, you literally will just sit there falling to your death. And once that glitch gets put in, even if you go back a save to before you did that, it will always be in it.
Damn.
It's patched in one of the mods.
Well, that's good at least.
But it's like a 1 in 100 kind of chance. I have played and done that quest a good 30, 40 times, and I've only ever had it happen once.
That is definitely a negative glitch.
Here's one that's interesting. So in Pokemon Yellow, there is an unintentional glitch with it. So the move Focus Energy, it's a well-known glitch. Focus Energy normally increases your chance to crit. That's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
However, what ends up actually happening is it reduces your chance to crit instead of raising it because there's an error in the code.
Huh.
Another fun one is there is a glitch in Silver, Crystal, and Gold where if you port a certain Pokemon over, there's an error in the coding to where normally you're supposed to be able to evolve it, except the evolve item is a burn heal.
A burn heal?
Yep, which does nothing.
Huh.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I've had some harmful glitches happen to me, but it's because people exploiting said glitches. And what it is I play a lot of first-person shooters, right? Mainly stuff like Call of Duty, Borderlands, Warframe, stuff like that. And one of the most annoying glitches that people intentionally exploit is something called head glitching, where they can see me and shoot me, but I can just barely see them if I see them, and I can't hit them. So
I know in some first-person shooters, the point as far as where you can shoot is based off the tip of the barrel.
yes.
So if you glitch the tip of your barrel through a solid object,
You can shoot
you can
through it.
shoot through it. I remember that one, which is interesting because you'd still not be able to see people.
And that is a little bit of what head glitching is.
Is it really?
Yes, because you're technically glitching through it
Enough to see.
or enough
and
enough
shoot.
where you can see and shoot, but people can't hit you.
So that would be an actual wall hack.
Yeah, pretty much. Almost literally a wall hack.
Speaking of wall hacks, there's one in Skyrim.
Oh yeah, the one where
And-
you shove a bowl through the wall
Well,
to
that
get under the map.
it's either a plate or a platter. And you can do it to almost any door or wall. However, whether or not you want to, well, some have less desirable things. But no, there's one that if you stand in the right spot, you just drop through the map.
Yeah, I've heard.
In
I've heard
Whiterun,
of that one.
if you first enter Whiterun, you take a left to go up the stairs. You follow the path until you have the 4 houses, and you're looking at the tree. You get the house on the right. You walk up to the window, and you can. There's a plant blocking it, the window. But if you walk in between the house and the plant, you'll just drop through the map. You can then walk all the way around, go outside the gate, walk all around Whiterun, jump up on some rocks and everything, get back into Whiterun, have a secret chest underneath the companion's blacksmith that you can loot for his items.
Yep.
And then from there, you can just walk
I heard
straight.
something that they ended up patching that to where the chest didn't give you anything.
So they patch it to the point that the chests don't show as easily.
Okay.
But most of those are the ones that, for instance, the one in Solitude, you can literally crouch, walk around the floor where the Khajiit traders are, and you can grab items from their chests. They can hit those. Those have been patched, but not.
Okay.
They're just harder to do as they dropped them lower.
Okay.
So it's actually easier to get the blacksmith one.
Okay. Back to Call of Duty. There's a YouTuber that I like to watch called No Game on YouTube. And
Really? A YouTuber on YouTube?
Shush you. And he does a lot of glitch activities. As in, one of his more popular series is called Finding No Game. Lo and behold, he players, a full lobby of players, queue in, him versus them, and it's either Finding No Game or Glitch Hide and Seek, where either A, No Game himself gets into a glitch spot and hides there, and all the other players have to use their knowledge of glitches and the maps and sites to find him and melee him, which is how they win, or the hide and seek, which is the exact opposite of that. The players that he brings into this lobby all hide in glitch spots or, hard to reach areas or just try to blend in. And he himself has to go around finding them and meleeing them. And as far as I know, he's done this for a lot of the different Call of Duty games. And it's just little fun things, because no harm is being done to the game. No harm is being done to the code. And no, I guess you could say, harmful words are being said, and it's just all in good fun. So
I'm more curious of what other kind of glitches and exploits are in some of the games you play. Not much.
Yeah,
because it's really easy to get like texture and layer glitches in some of the games we play. But what about the ones you play?
Well, one for city skylines that I've actually seen on YouTube involves sewage outflow and hydroelectric dams. Like, you can actually build a landform where all your sewage basically pours out into a big reservoir, which goes through a hydroelectric dam, which goes through another hydroelectric dam, which goes through another hydroelectric dam, and I forget how they can actually bring it back up to the top, but it basically gives you unlimited power and essentially a perpetual motion machine.
Oh, that's actually really interesting.
Another one in Open RCT2 is how park value is calculated. And the biggest portion of park value comes from the stats of your rides. The most gets contributed from excitement, second most from intensity, and nausea doesn't contribute that much. But unlike excitement, it is really easy to crank up intensity. So one thing that Marcel Voss is how I learned about this. So what he does, especially for park value scenarios, is he either uses a roller coaster and just have it launch, do as many laps as possible, go through like tight turns really fast with a small hump, and go through inversions way too fast. Or with tower rides like the launch freefall and downward launch, or the roto drop, just build it all the way to as high as you possibly can, and you'll get really high intensities. And the rides won't, if you don't open the rides, they won't age and lose value. I mean, you don't want to open them because nobody's going to ride them anyways. But you can really cheese parks value scenarios like that.
So basically, you make a ride to where nobody's going to ride it, but because it has such high value of its stats, it's actually better to never have it open.
Yes.
Interesting.
Wonder if Disney does that with some of their rides.
Wouldn't surprise me, considering I've been to Disney, and one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten was
Don't look down.
no, intentionally for Disney, always go left, because everybody and their grandmother are going counterclockwise around the parks. So all the rides and attractions to the right of when you enter the park are going to be busiest. You can barely walk. Lines are going to be hour and a half plus long. However, if you go left, you hit some of the better rides first, some of the lesser ridden ones. So lines are going to be a lot
by
shorter.
the time people get to those rides, they're
They're
already tired.
done for the day. Exactly. Always go left. And that rule has worked out for me in places like Yellowstone as well. Because the part of Yellowstone that was the essential quote unquote mud flaps was a loop as well. Going left, we saw the better part of said loop first. So
Actually doesn't really work in Disney anymore, the way Disney has things set up.
yeah, true. I haven't been since Jesus. Last time I was there was my freshman year of high school,
However,
So not that long ago.
2016.
Like I said, not that long ago.
Hey, shush, old man.
however, the real question is, how do these glitches and exploits affect the gaming experience?
Well, I know with some of the ones I've done, some of them are kind of mandatory to actually get ahead, because normally you can't get like the one I brought up in Fallout. You can't get that until like later in your 20s as far as level goes, where you can get a hunting rifle fairly early on. I have done it. I've tried to do a speed run of getting from the vault to where the hunting rifle is, and I've done it fairly consistently. It's one of the first guns I pick up because it does such good damage, and 90% of my characters in Fallout end up being snipers.
I'm just saying something there, buddy.
No idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. I bet you don't.
But the suppressors are really helpful. In Skyrim, there's some that they just break the game. For instance, the restoration alteration glitch, where you unequip your items, make a potion, re-equip your items, drink the potion, and you basically kind of do that as a rinse and repeat. And it'll end up getting to the point that you'll have negative numbers for your potion, so you'll drink it, go and blacksmith a weapon, and then enchant it, and you're doing millions upon millions of damage.
Yeah, I've seen people do that.
And it's really easy to pull off. I have done it once just to see if I could, but I didn't go overboard with it. But I immediately went back a save file because I used too many of my resources.
Yeah, it's like I've seen people do stuff like that for like 10 minutes and enchant a fort where it went from like 4 damage to having
10
damage numbers that have 13 digits. And
Yeah.
I'm just like,
Yeah,
what? Why would you do this?
because they want to run up and one tap everything.
Yeah. And as for some of the ones that I've talked about, yes, the head glitching in Call of Duty, it is absolutely annoying, and it just takes away from the experience of playing Call of Duty.
So by that,
However, the ones that I've mentioned in Elden Ring, the one where you jump off the edge, gain a metric ton of runes, that just takes too long to set up. It's a pain in the ass to actually get to the spot, but stuff like the bird rune farm and the fraud one right next to it with the sacred relic sword, those are just farms. They're things people have found out to make
the game
the everyday grind of leveling up in Elden Ring go by just a little bit faster.
So PvP wise, or games that you go
Player
against
versus player.
those, the glitches and exploits would be a negative.
Sometimes yes,
Whereas
sometimes
solo things that are more PvE, like Skyrim,
Elden Ring,
it'd be more of a benefit.
yes and no, because there are some glitches in PvP that are just absolutely hilarious. Because there's a guy going around who his whole shtick is quote unquote making cursed guns. As in, he goes into like Modern Warfare or Call of Duty, goes into the gun edit, right? And just randomizes all these attachments. And sometimes the guns look absolutely horrendous, but are a absolute laser beam.
So like a Gatling gun with a sniper scope.
Pretty much. Or he'll put
how does that work?
Right?
Like seriously.
Or get this though, right? He'll put certain attachments on that'll make half of the gun disappear. And make you fire almost inverted, kind of like this. His hands will literally glitch out and go something like this.
Upside down?
Yeah, like twist around 2 or 3 times, fire and go like this and fire the gun upside down. And he includes actual video of him playing matches with these guns, and the kill voices, the after match lobbies are all just like, yo, what is this guy doing? What is his gun? There was one he did that was, I want to say dual pistols or something like that.
Was he firing
invisible guns?
Oh shit!
Both of them were invisible, so people just thought he was sitting there firing like this, just like, and they were like, "Yo, why this gun's invisible?"
Don't they know he had finger guns? Exactly.
But it's just like some of the stuff that he creates. It's absolutely harmless, but it's glitches and stuff like that that make the game, that would sometimes, make you want to bash your head through a concrete wall, that much more enjoyable and that much more hilarious to play and watch. Because you go into some of those matches and you get killed by this guy and you're like, hey, what did I just dive to? I died to a shotgun that, has the back half of it missing, a floating sniper scope, and I get hit with a 12-gauge slug. What? and I'm sitting here watching these videos.
Now I'm just getting to imagine playing that game and dying, seeing the kill feed, somebody just going pew 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 with finger guns,
literally,
because the guns are invisible. What the fuck?
Like looks like he's using akimbo pistols. Has his arms outstretched to that distance, and it's just like
invisible.
Literally.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I do know that there are some games that they actually break the game and do make it no fun.
Oh, yeah.
For instance, one of the games I play, League of Legends, it got patched.
Oh, Jesus.
But there was a glitch that if you had a certain character, it gets a bonus for each time it upgrades somebody's item. So what your teammate would do, it was a 2v2v2v2.
Jesus, that just sounds like a headache. Oh my.
It's 4 teams, 2 people each. But what the person would do is they'd sit there and buy the item, undo, buy, undo, buy, undo, buy, undo, buy, undo, buy, and it would.
I know where this is going.
It would proc the bonus, and it would stack to the point that they would do that somewhat later in the game, and you'd show up, look at the enemy, and all you see is a black health bar. Because he has so much health that all of the black ticks to show you each 100 or 1,000 health he has literally mushed together.
And block out the health bar.
There was a video I watched by some of the YouTubers I watch. They did the glitch just to bring light to it because
people are seeing it and being like, hey, what the hell is this?
They want to see them do it. And the dude had well over 70,000 health. And when in a long game you have 1 or 2 characters that they can actually beat 10k health, that's still like a 40-minute game, and there's only like 2 people that can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then you walk into this match, and this dude's got over 70,000 health,
and you're just sitting there like, nope, I'm done. I will take the account ban for a couple days. Still on the topic of millions of health, I'm gonna leave this up to YouTube to decide whether or not this is a glitch or an exploit.
Ooh, interesting challenge.
So, in a game me and Chaos play, quite often actually, Warframe.
Oh god.
My friends before I continue, I should say that the main frame that we are going to be talking about is Inaros or Inaros Prime, the quote unquote upgraded version of them. They had a build that they could last literal days if they wanted to in survival. Because of the mods that they put on, and one of Inaros' abilities, you could gain that much health. I literally watched them do it in game, in a mission with them. Literally looking at my screen, I look over, he's got 6,500 health. I look away, do my thing for a little bit. Literally 2 minutes later, I look back, he's at 35,000 health.
So he's unkillable.
Pretty much. But because of how he has his mods and the mods on his weapons as well as their companion, they can gain that much health. I think the record that my friends have reached was 67,000 health.
If you're using intentionally programmed mechanics to do that, to me that would be an exploit.
All right.
Thing is, most of those things aren't designed like that.
Of course.
But that's one of those things of, while yes, similar to rules as written kind of thing with Pathfinder and stuff. While yes, technically rules as written, there is no passive perception in Pathfinder, even though that would mean that you're never actually just looking around, kind of thing. So I'm glad they changed it. But the purpose of the things, especially in Warframe, are to stack and stuff. However, there are some things that they're coded to work one way, but because of how it's coded, it works a different way. For instance,
because of how it's coded, it can work one way or a completely different way.
For instance, let's say your gun has a status chance. So you do 100 damage with the gun, and the status chance does 50. However, if you have one of the damage multipliers of, oh, hey, it looks at this and does 10% more damage to a specific faction, that 100 damage is now 110. But because of that, now that damage of the status is 55 because it's 50% of the damage. Well, the issue is now that status damage looks at that as like, oh, we have a multiplier for a certain faction. So now that's going to go up to 62.5.
Yeah. And of course, I will say this.
It's not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
But it does.
Exactly.
It double dips into that, basically.
I will say this, though. This build of theirs, they came up with it back when you could still have stuff like Fury and Berserker's Fury on the same weapon.
So it did get patched out. Because I was like,
probably. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what the build is. I'm pretty sure.
I want to know about this now.
I will have to, whenever me, you, and them are playing it, I'll have to ask them to see if they still have the Inaros build.
If it still works.
If it still works, yeah.
So do the glitches and exploits in the games you play not much? How do they affect your game?
Well, in my case, I think they enhance it.
I'm going to have to agree with that one.
Oh, it's like, for most single-player games, I think glitches and exploits would... More exploits would enhance. Glitches could go either way.
Exactly.
Like in PvP, I think it could go heavily either way. I think, honestly, it'd be more of a hindrance, depending on
it'd be more of an annoyance.
Hindrance or annoyance, depending on what it is.
Exactly.
If it's one that's common and everybody's doing it, like if you do a certain combination, you increase your speed by 50%, and everybody ends up doing that or something, then yeah, I could see that where, okay, if you're not doing it, yeah, it's a hindrance, but it's one of those things that moving around, especially in Call of Duty and stuff, moving around at higher speeds means you can reposition easier. So it's
however, moving around at higher speeds in Call of Duty can also be a disadvantage because you could mean to go and slide cancel and drop into a certain point, but because of that added speed bonus, you could overshoot it, hit a wall, someone could see that and just snipe you. Being that, I have built sniper shotguns in Call of Duty.
Yes, let's add a sniper scope to the shotgun. It's now a sniper shotgun.
I have, sniped.
That's not how shotgun shells work.
I have sniped people at 170 yards with explosive slugs.
I want to see you do that on the firing range.
The firing range, you know that third target?
No, because I never
So,
played games.
In Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, right?
Is there
you
an
have
actual firing range?
Yes, to test out your weapons. You can even add 1, 2, or 3 plates to your firing dummies. There is the far right side is for snipers, where you literally post up about here-ish. The middle is for just standing. The far left is for stuff like pistols. But you have one that's a bit closer, one that's a medium range, and one that's a far range. I can one-tap the far range with my sniper shotgun builds.
That's not how those things work.
I'm aware, but it's fun. Because when people see that they got sniped from across the map with a shotgun.
I'm sorry, I can't see anybody actually being happy in an actual match. Like, I got sniped by a shotgun. Shotguns are close range, dumbass. Oh, I see more people raging on that.
They'll be pissed for a couple of seconds and then say, you know what? That's actually pretty sick. Screw you, but that was sick. Okay. That's how I imagine it. Also, to piss off some little kids in Call of Duty. That's beside the point.
Okay, I actually have something to say. In Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, and especially expanded in Open RCT 2, you can make custom scenarios. Of course, among the community, there is a custom scenario notorious for its difficulty. It is called Quantum's Edge.
I think I've actually heard of that one.
And the thing is, it's so difficult. If you don't use exploits, I don't think you could beat it.
Huh. So it's like a Dark Souls level of your game.
Yeah. Where you
either get good, exploit, or you die.
Yeah. Or rather your part closes.
Or you fail.
There's actually a glitch I know in Dark Souls that not a lot of people know about. So in Dark Souls 1, if you go back to the starting area where the tutorial boss is, there is a boss underneath. So, and if you walk across the ground where you fought the original boss, you'll fall in. So what you do is you need to have dung piles. You need like 10 to 12 of them. If you run in to that, fall down and immediately run either to your left or to your right, there's a stack of gold that puts you above the limit. So you hit the ground, you run over, get on top of the gold, and the boss does not see you on the arena.
Interesting.
It'll still show the boss bar, health, and everything, but it glitches his AI. And so as long as you don't go past the 2 pillars, you can walk back and forth, and you can throw dung piles at him, poisoning him, and kill him by poisoning him without ever fighting him. And he's got so many large AoE attacks, it's actually really hard to fight him without
being good. Him legitimately fight him.
Yeah, without being good.
Huh.
And I'm not good. But it's one of those that if you do it, you pay, I want to say it's like 1,000 something souls for the dung piles, but you walk away with a free 10,000 souls.
That's fair.
So, yeah, it's one of those things that's just a little bit on the interesting side.
Yeah.
What are some of the exploits and stuff in tabletops?
Ooh, I got some. Almost one of the more common ones that I know of is infinite combos in Magic the Gathering.
Those aren't exactly.
They're technically exploit.
Yeah, fair.
Because of how the cards are worded.
But those are also rules as written kind of thing.
They are rules as written, but they're still technically exploits.
Rules as written, if you follow them and you do something beneficial, like that really probably shouldn't be possible otherwise, that's an exploit because it's still intended behavior.
Yep. Like, one of my combos in a deck that I have is quote-unquote infinite, but if I let it go infinitely, it'll stall out the game and end it in a draw. So, but thankfully, I have a couple ways of stopping it. So, what are some that you know of, though?
Me or him?
Him.
He doesn't play Magic.
I'm not talking about Magic.
Oh, in tabletop?
I'm talking about tabletop as a whole.
That's a good one. Do you know any?
No, I don't. I don't really delve deep enough into the nitty gritty of the rules to actually like know any exploits like that.
One that I know of that might be a glitch or an exploit, I'm not entirely certain, was one from D&D called the Peasant Cannon.
So technically that does that. Well, yes, technically that works rules as written, but it does not increase damage as get your physics out of my goddamn pants.
Exploit.
Yeah.
I've heard of. Actually, yes, I have heard of the peasant railgun.
Yeah.
So would being able to make a character that could break the sound barrier be an exploit?
Yes.
If you use it rules as written, yes, it's an exploit. And I believe you've done it.
I know how to make a character be the Flash and go. If it's a custom race in Pathfinder, we were able to go almost Mach 2.
Jesus.
We figured out how many feet you would need to go in a 6-second period for Mach 1. We were almost able to double it. We were off by 400 feet.
That's actually not bad at all. Oh my.
Granted, it has to be in a straight line.
Fair.
But and it takes like 2 rounds to prep. But
So if somebody knows what you're doing, they can stop it.
on the 3rd round, we can break the sound barrier.
Just, hey, get this. What?
Casting a spell. Watch this.
Oh jeez.
Because there is a spell that it's only for that turn, but you can extend it, meaning it lasts for another round, called Cheetah Spirit, which increases your move speed by 10.
Huh.
So if you have the run feat, extended Cheetah Spirit, let's say you have a 30-foot. Well, Cheetah Spirit makes it a 300-foot movement because it's times 10.
Want to
You
see
then
me?
go 5 times that when you run,
Jesus.
making it 15. That's just 2 spells.
Want to see me
Jeez.
run to that rockin' back?
You want to see me do it again?
Yeah, you can't do that. It has to be one single straight line. But we designed a character to actually break the sound barrier.
That is not okay. That is all levels of not okay.
Only do it for 1 round, but they could break the sound barrier.
Yeah, and break everybody else's eardrums in the process.
Nope.
I actually just remembered 2 rule exploits. I think it was in either Dungeons and Dragons 3rd or 3.5 edition. Has to do with the rulebook item buying and selling, where you could buy a ladder, separate it into 2 10-foot poles, sell the poles for a profit.
Yep.
Hire laborers to do that all day, and you could actually make a pretty good money.
You buy a 20-foot ladder for like 10 gold, turn around, use any sort of woodcrafting skill, cut it into 4 10-foot poles, which sell for 3 gold apiece.
Making a 2 gold profit.
Oh my god.
And
Oh my god.
Guess what? Hiring a laborer for a day's work of that, 1 gold.
No.
There's another one you could do if you have the right item. It's a little scummy, but there is an item. It's like a 500 gold item that every day it makes oil.
Ah, yes.
So you can pour it into a bottle and it stays when poured. So every day you make, I think it's like 4 things of oil. You can do 4 flasks of oil every day. Spend a week doing that.
Like an in-game week or a IRL week?
An in-game week.
In-game week. Okay.
That's 4 flasks of oil every single day. You can then turn around and sell the oil.
Ah, yes. America would be proud.
It's an infinite money glitch. Because rules as written, that's how that works.
Yep.
Of course, the thing with tabletop role-playing exploits is that unless you're playing like organized play, the GMs can just say no.
Yeah.
However, there are some things you can also do with that.
Yep.
So there are spells that make items appear of high worth.
Yeah.
Really low level spells. And they last 24 hours. So
I see why he's called this scummy now.
So you take a rusty weapon, you cast the spell on it. It makes it look like it is a really, really good item.
Yeah, you sell it, get the large amount of gold. 24 hours later,
It's no longer
spell wears off.
Yep.
There's also a little known rule for, I want to say, all different kinds of tabletop games.
Don't piss off the god.
No, rule 0.
So that works with some, but not all.
True. I know it works for Magic the Gathering.
Yes.
And
which
for people who
if everybody's allowed, if everybody's okay with it, you can bend the rules, not go with this ban list. Same. That's more so in card games.
True. That's what rule 0 is if it is okay with the rest of the people at your table, you can do it. Like certain example of how me and Chaos have used rule 0 before. One of his friends, we were all playing Magic, and one of his friends didn't realize he had a banned card in his deck. So we're all like, rule 0, rule 0, rule 0 good? Yep, it's good. Rule 0 is good. And he kept the banned card in his deck.
Yeah.
So, classic instance of rule 0. If it's okay with the rest of the table, you can do it.
However, it's not going to fly in tournament play.
Exactly.
See, the thing is, they were okay with it until I played the card and it broke the game.
But yeah, no, I completely forgot about that.
Yep. Fast spawn.
Huh. So he had 1 or 2 in his deck that we were okay with.
Most of us were, except for him.
Well, this is him we're talking about.
Well, yeah, it threatened his game plan.
But enough about that.
I think we've pretty much gone over like a lot of different types of exploits and glitches and how they affect the gaming experience.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah, so
Me too.
I don't think we really have any corrections except, well, expounding upon the last time where Chaos said that you cannot do home games in Pathfinder or, well, Paizo organized play. Yes, you can. You can get an event code for it. Lord Greyhawk just wanted me again point that out. And if you have any glitches or exploits of your own you'd like to tell us about, all lowercase, gamersperience@gmail.com, spelled the same way as the podcast, at Gmail is in Google's mail service, or on X, formerly known as Twitter, at gamersperience, again, all lowercase. Our direct messages are open. Or you can join our Discord on our pinned tweet or post now. Should be a permanent invite link. And with that, I'm Not Much 23.
And I'm Chaos Assassin.
And this is Gamer Experience. And as always, we invite you to have your own Gamer Experience.